Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. I am joined by the American, all the way from America. He's gone back home. Lucas, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feels good to be back. I actually miss London quite a lot. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it as much as I did, but yeah, it was a cracking time. I cannot wait to get back, especially after seeing Force pull out a result today, because I already know that would be an absolutely class away day. Right now.
Yeah. Basically, earlier on, we see that Forest are now in the Premier League, mate. Now, Forest have been a big club for years, but last 23 years, they've been Championship, even League One, I think they went down to at one stage, and they've had a lot of bad times at Forest. But,
more European Cups than Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Or not Liverpool. Who's the other one? I'm missing one, but yeah, they are a big club. I'm happy to see him back because even though Stuart Pearce did just step down the other day, when I think of the proper Premier League era when things were just different gravy, different classes, like when Stuart Pearce was at Nottingham. That was proper, my taste. That's my football that I want to see.
He's a rock and roll type geezer, Stuart Pearce. But listen, I think Forest are going to be dangerous next year, mate. I know people. Listen, I looked at the odds as I always do. Just the moment they got promoted, I thought, who's going down? And out of the three teams that's come up, they're making Fulham one of the favourites to stay up in a roundabout way. They're looking basically at Bournemouth and Forest going straight back down. I don't know. I think
I tweeted who I thought was going to go down next season. I mean, very early, obviously, because the transfer window hasn't even opened yet. But I think one is guaranteed to go down.
Yeah.
And for me, it's Bournemouth. I think they're going down straight away.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I think Bournemouth are, out of the three, I think Bournemouth would be my tip to go down next year. But there's one team that I do think will struggle next year. I think that's Brentford, mate. I think Brentford are that could be second season syndrome all day long.
The odds are definitely not with them because so what I tweeted, I'll just get on to it, I guess. My early relegation prediction for next season, I said Southampton, Brentford, and Bournemouth. And while obviously I like Brentford, I think 95% of the Premier League like Brentford, even though they are a London rival. Brentford's a good club. I like Brentford a lot. But I do have a feeling that, again, so many things are playing against them. Second season syndrome we just saw with Leeds, just barely fucking escaped. They could possibly get poached for Ivan Toney and Rico Henry if the right offer comes in. I think they would hold strong because that's what Brentford do. They hold strong. But I mean, shoot, if someone comes in for £50 million for Ivan Toney, how can they say no? You know what I mean?
I agree.
And Eriksson, that's a huge if. That's a huge if and but maybe. Because if he doesn't return, they're gonna have to go out and find someone of that stature, that elk, as you like to say, because he showed. I wouldn't say he kept them up, but he was pulling the strings and really when you needed someone to take over and produce, he was that guy. And if he leaves, that's a ginormous problem.
It ain't a bad player to have, is it? Let's be honest with Eriksson, in your ranks. But when I look at them, I'll start off with Forest. I think Forest's home form will be key to them possibly staying up next year. I wouldn't like to back them. Listen, they're 8-11 with the odds to go down, along with Bournemouth. I won't touch that with a barge pole. Not with Forest the way they are with Premier League teams. Like this season and over the last few years in FA Cup games, Forest have played some good Premier League sides at the City Ground, and I've got to be honest, they've turned up in every time. Now, if they turn that place into a fortress, which is a big if because they need to spend some dough to sort of better their squad, and it's going to be interesting to see how Brennan Johnson gets on in the Premier League and Worrell, because I think them two was been excellent for them this year. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I just feel with Forest, they are a massive club.
And you got to see if Djed Spence is coming back or not. If they buy him, I feel like they have to.
Yeah, I think he has to sign for them. Like, I don't think you're going to get anyone better on their budget, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think Forest will stay up next year from what you've seen today?
They are like a weird little side because from what I've seen today, and I've watched them a few times, or actually no, more than a few. They get stuck in. They play a bit too much like Allardyce long ball for my taste, but like they can get stuck in. They're decent in possession, and they got two fullbacks that can get up and down the pitch. Especially with Spence, he is electric. I could definitely see him going back to Middlesbrough and someone throwing 25 million for him, like Man U or somebody. Because I mean they're looking at right backs right now, but I think, I think if I had to bet on them staying up, I think they stay up because I mean, just after 23 long years, it's almost kind of like with Leeds. They've been not as long as Nottingham, but like when you've just been deprived of Premier League football for that long, when you were once a stable club in the Premier League, a force, like I just like the odds to back them because I do think Forest, just like with Leeds, in my opinion, they should be a Premier League staple. They should be a constant.
Well, for me, and obviously I've been following West Ham all my life. Yeah. When I look at the teams that are in it next season, this reminds me of Premier League of me growing up.
Proper Premier League.
Yeah, proper old school Premier League. Nottingham Forest, Leeds United. Obviously us are back in there. You got Aston Villa, who've always been in there. Wolves are a team that sort of bounced from Championship to Premier League over time, but they've established themselves. And I'm really looking forward to next year. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't like to predict the bottom three at the minute. I think Brentford are the ones that I look at, and I think if Ivan Toney gets injured, then I just don't know where the goals come from them. And if Eriksen's not there, who else is there? I tell you what, there's one team that I'm looking at next year, and I'm thinking to myself, they could be struggling again. They've had a good season this year, and that's Brighton, mate. I just feel that Brighton have had a good season this year, but I don't think Potter can take them up any higher than where they already are without the spend, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a good, in my opinion, that'd be like a good punt for a bet for sure, Brighton to go down. But with me, as long as Potter is at the helm and he does spend very smart, so I feel like they will give him just enough money for him to stay complacent, or they won't do as bad. They're definitely not going to progress. But
yeah,
with my prediction, so I had Brentford, and I agree with the same as you. Like, I just don't feel like they're gonna. There's just a lot of ifs and buts with Brentford. Like, are they going to spend? Are they going to get Eriksen back? Are they going to accept bids for Tony, Henry, and so forth? And then I said Southampton because Southampton are a bit like
they're a weird side, mate.
They're a bit like us, where their owners just don't really, even though they got new owners and they don't seem that bad. Like they just don't really spend. And Broja is probably not going to come back unless they spend money to buy him, which again, we don't know what Broja's price tag is going to be. We've heard 50 million, we've heard 25. So who knows what that's going to be, but Southampton seemed to be complacent and not really wanting to improve on the side. So, I mean, I had money on them to go down this season, and at the beginning it looked like they were, and then they stepped it up kind of like midway through.
What about Leeds? If they lose Rafinha, lose Phillips, they have got to be. That's got to be a massive turnaround, isn't it?
It'll be worrying, but I mean, after what just happened, if Jesse Marsch could pull them out of the dirt like he just did, and Leeds is a weird one for me because obviously, I'm American, also Balkan. I have my loyalty ties. I've got blood ties out here in these streets, and just like Vlasic, I have to support Jesse Marsh. And then they just signed Brendan Aronson, who I rate highly. He is a very good player. And there's rumors about Serginho Dest possibly coming to Leeds too. And if we get some American contingents over at Leeds, I literally have no choice but to somewhat, I won't say support, but I'm going to back them because I do. And again, like I told you, I love seeing Leeds in the Premier League. It is a club that should be in the Premier League, just like Nottingham. They should be in it consistently.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to push you now for your prediction of your bottom three, because we are going to do a show before the start of the new season. But it'd be interesting to see what you think now, and then in 6 weeks' time, what you think then. So give me your three to go down from from the 20 that's there now. Who'd you think?
If I had, I'll do it just like if I was putting money on it. If I think the transfer window for these clubs will go the way I think it will, I'm going to go Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Because Bournemouth, they're a little tricky too, because they kind of have like Aston Villa tendencies where they will actually drop some money, but like really at the end it just really doesn't like come together. And with their base team right now, like I don't really rate Dominic Solanke. He's not going to cut it in the Prem. Todd Cantwell was there, but he's going to go back to Norwich. He could come back on a permanent. Who knows? Bournemouth just doesn't have. They don't have the players for me. And then because of the odds, I would have to say Brentford, just because second season syndrome. But Leeds is not a bad shout because again they could lose Rafinha, they could lose Calvin Phillips. If they hold on to Calvin Phillips, I think they have a chance. But if they lose both him and Rafinha, could be risky. But I'm going to go, just because of second season syndrome, I'm going to go Brentford. And then, again, you make a good point with Brighton, but I think I'm going to go Southampton just because I don't think they're going to improve in the summer. I think they're going to do like a West Ham, but a little bit worse, where they might just replace players and not add. As like with West Ham, I think we're going to at least add depth to one position after replacing players going out. But I just don't think I don't think Southampton are going to spend the necessary money. And Husenhall is a good manager too, and I feel bad for him because just like Moyes, just like Potter, if you just give him like 60, 70 million pounds, I think he could pull a masterclass and like exceed expectations. So I'm gonna go Southampton in no order. Southampton, Bournemouth, and Brentford.
Do you know what? I agree with you 100% on the Bournemouth one. I think Bournemouth, someone just said it in the chat, they got no place in the Premier League. I think they deserve to be in the Premier League because of what they've done. Yeah. But I just don't think they're good enough. I think they're another Norwich, right? And I can actually see them finishing bottom of the league. Yeah, very yo-yo. Don't win many games away from home, and they score goals, but they can't keep a clean sheet. So I'm going to go with Bournemouth. The second one is an interesting one. I think Fulham, mate. I really do. I think Fulham are a team that are massively overrated. They've just lost Cannavaro, I think it is,
to Liverpool.
Carvalho, to Liverpool. That's a massive player there for them. Yeah. Their striker, what's his name? I forgot his name. Mitrovic.
Balkan boy.
I don't think he scores. I don't think he scores 20 goals in the Premier League. So
I think he'll score 10 again. And I do think, and the only reason I didn't tout Fulham to go down for me is because I do think they'll spend money.
I think they will, but I just don't think Silva's that type of manager to get them right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Bournemouth, Fulham, and my last pick, I think Forest will stay up. I think Brentford, mate. I do. I look at Brentford and I look at a team that they rely so heavily on their attackers.
Yeah.
And if Ivan Toney gets sold, I just don't know what they're going to do. Like if Eriksen's not there, don't get me wrong, they've got good players, but I think teams will figure them out this year.
Eriksen's the one that really concerns me because Brentford did look like they were going to go down at some point in the season where they didn't win a match. They didn't win a match in like 11.
Yeah,
there was an 11 match stretch they didn't win once, And then they brought in Eriksson, and he completely changed them. And
And that is the fear, Lucas. That's the fear I have. They start slow, and they can't win a game. Then how are you supposed to generate wins? Do you know what I mean? If you can't win one,
exactly, because they started off hot. I mean, we were all buzzing when they beat Arsenal first match of the season. But again, they have promise. I do like Frank, their manager. I think he's solid. But again, the way they run themselves as a club, which I don't mind. I think it's a good model. But again, for me, it's really all about Eriksson. That's the big one for me, because I do like how they always have targets lined up, and they are like very Moneyball. So like if someone gets sold, they have someone in mind that they're going to buy based off statistics or whatever. But I just think Eriksson is the one for me. If he does not come back, I think he will, because I think he owes it to Brentford, especially they took a shot on him when nobody would. I think he will come back, but even with that, I still think the second season syndrome will rear its ugly head. Yeah,
I agree, mate. I really, really do. But we'll move on to, let's go to the top 10 of the Premier League, because obviously them 3 teams have come up. Liverpool look like they're losing Mane. Salah says he's going to stay there for another year. What do you think next year in regards to the Premier League title race?
It's tough, because as I've learned watching football for the past 7, well, I mean, I've been watching for a while, but just like Premier League wise, and then like watching my American sports, everyone has a different opinion on like when someone hits their prime. Their prime years. Like, for example, like American football, basketball, like we don't consider someone hitting their prime. We think someone hits their prime from like 27, 28 to like 32. 32 being like that's your last prime year, and then after that you fall off. And with Liverpool, it's a tricky one because all their good players are turning 30, bare minimum. Thiago's turning 31. Salah just turned 30. Van Dijk surprisingly is 31. He doesn't seem that old, and he hasn't been there for that long. Obviously, Milner is like going to be 37. And they just have a bunch of players that are turning 30, 31, and some 32. And you do have to think, like, will that affect them? Me personally, from my American sports viewing of my whole life, I think they'll still be fine and very dangerous. Now, if they were getting to like 32, 33, I would probably tout them to fall off a bit. But I think Liverpool's still, I would say, guaranteed top 3. Because, I mean, Luis Diaz replacing Mane, what better replacement could you ask for? Honestly, Luis Diaz is such a good player.
I'll tell you what, he's my tip for top goal scorer next year.
That's a good shout. And obviously, Man City getting Haaland and Julian Alvarez. I mean, that's the funny thing. Now they're going to be playing with strikers. They've been doing so well not playing strikers for the past 4 or 5 seasons or whatever, and now they have 2 strikers. I mean, Julian Alvarez, for God's sake, just scored 6 goals the other day. I mean, it's going to be insane. I would say, I think it's hard to say that City aren't going to repeat. I think City are going to repeat and probably win the whole thing.
I'm going to say this, but are Newcastle a threat this year? If Eddie Howe goes out and he spends the money.
I think I'm going to put a cheeky little bet on Newcastle to finish top 6 at 6, because I do think what they showed at the end of last season or the end of the season was very admirable. Bruno Ramirez, or however you pronounce his last name, looks to be a baller. He started off a little slow and he didn't get a lot of playing time, but then when Eddie Howe started playing him, he's a bit of a baller. And Callum Wilson, he's a serviceable striker. They'll probably get rid of Chris Wood, honestly. I think that was like a survival buy. Like, we just need someone that can score in a different way to Callum Wilson. But I think I might put a cheeky bet on Newcastle to finish top 6, top 7, whatever it may be, like place for Europe, because I think they can, especially with their new owners now. They're just going to be throwing money.
I don't like to mention them on this channel, as you know, but I've got to mention them because they're in the Premier League. What do you think? What do you think of Spurs with Conte next year? Kane's there, Son's there. I think they're gonna spend this year.
With them, you can never say guaranteed top 4 because they're spuds. They always bottle. They always bottle it somehow. But it hurt. It pained me. It pained me so hard that they're gonna get Ivan Perisic. Oh, he's like one of my favorite Croatian players too, and it's just it sucks. But the only bright side is that he's 33 and he's never played in the Prem. So who knows how that's gonna go. But he has played under Conte. I mean, yeah, if they do spend Perisic coming in, who's a very, very good player, I'm not going to say I would say they probably should be aiming for top 4 again, but I won't say it's guaranteed. I think they'll finish top 6 again, most likely. I'll say they finish. I think they'll finish 4th again. I'll say that.
And then you got Chelsea, who, let's be honest, they've just got their new ownership sorted out. And now, let's be honest here, as fans, we are a bit worried that they're going to go after Deck. If you want to go and make a statement signing to bring someone to your club, I think Declan would be the man for them. What do you think of Chelsea next year? I think Chelsea are, last season, they just won the Champions League and everyone tipped them to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Next season, I think they'll be lucky if they're in the top 4.
I don't know. I don't know. Chelsea, that is a tricky one. I still think they're going to finish top 4. I think they'll finish 3rd again, personally, because they still have such good depth. And I know, and again, we're guessing. We don't know who they're going to sell, who they're going to buy. But I don't think they're going to go crazy in the window. And I know Azpilicueta's leaving, Rudiger's leaving, and Marcus Alonso's leaving. But I think those are, besides Rudiger, and Christensen's leaving as well. 3 of them going to Barcelona, which is crazy. The only one I don't think is that easy to replace is Rudiger, because Rudiger is a decent center half. I think he's a bit overrated, but for Chelsea, he was good.
Yeah.
I think most of them are replaceable. And Chelsea have always been a club that's had good, real quality depth, especially the past 2-3 seasons. They just seamlessly make changes to their starting 11 every week, and they just continue to produce. And there's more factors too, like Christian Pulisic. If he goes or stays, if he stays, they'll be set in the attack still. I'm going to tout them. I think they'll finish top 4 again. I think they're going to finish third or 4th. I hate to say this, but I think I might put Chelsea 4th and Tottenham 3rd. I hate that.
I don't know about Chelsea, but I'll get your prediction in a minute. Arsenal, obviously, they missed out on the Champions League. They're in the Europa League. This is either going to go one or 2 ways for Arsenal, in my opinion. They're either going to express themselves, go out, sign some players and progress and get better, or the Europa League will kill them, stone dead, and they will drop down to about 8th or 9th. Arteta's under a lot of pressure there anyway.
Yeah, and they're in a bit of a situation like us where they're either going to try and make a marquee signing at striker, like a big splash, or they're going to have to settle on, I won't say a mediocre signing, but kind of someone that's just going to be able to compete with Nketiah, Lacazette. If he's staying, I don't know what's up with that. But, yeah, I don't know. Again, that's a tough one. With European football and with the questions of if they're going to sign someone like the ilk of Julian Alvarez or just a splat, or not Julian Alvarez, Darwin Nunez, Jesus would be a good signing for them. I do think European football will hamper their top 4 chances again. And they've got a lot of question marks, especially with people leaving and staying, Xhaka. He's not going to push them to top 4. Thomas Partey, injury prone, hasn't really proven he's that good. Ben White, I think Ben White is a decent player, but I still don't think he's a center half for them. Maybe if they played a 3 in the back, he'd be a good third center half, but I'm still not convinced that he's a Premier League center back. I think he's more of like a Declan Rice type guy, where he's a center defensive mid. But again, I think they'll still have a decent year. If I had to guess, I'd probably put them. I'd probably go fifth again, because I think I don't. With me, when I think about the top 6, Man United is like the big outlier for me, because they're going through a whole brand new change, a whole new identity. There's going to be a bunch of new players. I don't think United. I don't think
Man United will be that bad again. That's the difference.
I think the opposite. I don't think they're gonna hit the ground running, or they're gonna improve really. I think they're either gonna finish. Oh, I can't see them finishing top 6 again. I don't think they're gonna fall off that bad. But I totally understand where you're coming from, because I mean, United, that's not United. They do good. So that's not their identity, especially this season. But I think with a new manager, new players, and Ten Hag's going to be getting a bunch of new players that haven't played in the Premier League. That he's going after Timber, De Jong, a bunch of players that haven't played in the Premier League. Some players that are coming from Holland. I just don't see how they're going to step in right away and produce in the Premier League. I think I'll be honest. I think, in my opinion, United would be lucky to finish 6th again. I think they might drop to like 7th.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think United will come strong this year. They've got Ronaldo there. Listen, people say that Ronaldo is the cause of why Man United are how they are, but I've got to disagree on that. If they didn't have Ronaldo,
oh my gosh! If they didn't have Ronaldo, Man United would have probably finished 10th or 11th this season, and that's no joke.
Or even lower than that. Do you know what I mean? What they have got to do, they've got a major rebuilding job, but Ten Hag knows how to get gems and get the best out of players that we all think are not good enough. Like, you look at Haller. He took Haller to Ajax, and look what he's been doing in the Champions League. I'm going to get your prediction of the top 6 in a minute. I just want to go down the list of all the teams that I think will creep in there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about us, West Ham. We obviously finished 7th last year. Where do you see West Ham this season? Because at the minute, if you ask me right now, with the likes of other, like with signings and everything else, I think we will be lucky if we finish in the top 10.
I'll preface this again, or I'll start with this. If we get European football for a 3rd season in a row, that would be absolutely probably the best feat we have ever done. That'd be the best. That would probably be the most impressive thing in our club history. 3 seasons in a row of European football. I'm not going to say 2 years in a row is the best thing we've ever done. It's definitely up there. But if we somehow finish top 7 again, that would be remarkable, in my opinion. As always, we're gonna bleed it out the whole summer. We're gonna kick the horse every day, every week. It all depends on our ambition to sign players, because I keep hearing people saying if we can make 2 or 3 signings this summer, we'll be good. And I just can't agree with that, because you've got to think about all the players leaving. You have to replace the players that are leaving. So you say 5 players are leaving, you have to make 5 new signings. And then we still need to add depth in certain positions. Like, let's be honest, we still don't have a left winger. We need a new left back. We need someone to replace Noble, and then we need someone to add competition to Souček and whoever else. Still need a striker to compete with Antonio. And if we don't sell Diop, I do like our core 4 of center halves. Like, that's a good room to have. I would like to improve on Diop, but if Diop was our 4th choice center half, I wouldn't really complain. But again, it all comes down to ambition of signing players, because if we replace the players that go out and then we add depth to 2 or 3 positions, I do think we can still fight for a European placing. But if we don't, if we finish top 10, that'd be impressive to me. I would, if we don't make signings, I could see us finishing anywhere from 9th to 14th, honestly.
Let me ask you this though, Lucas, yeah? If we do finish in the top 10, but we manage to get to the final of the conference, would you accept that?
You said finish 10th?
If we finish if we finish 10th in the league. Because for me, it's all about progression with me. Like cup competitions, you can get a bit of luck, etc. Yeah. But if someone said to me right now, you're going to get to a final of the conference, not saying we're going to win it, but if we got to the final, I think a lot of fans would go, you know what, yeah, because we haven't been to a final. Do you know what I mean?
It's a good question because obviously everyone has their opinions on Europa Conference League. I am now officially on record saying that I don't think it's a Mickey Mouse competition. In theory, I guess you could say it is because it has no history and it's just like made up for more money opportunity to make money and then give clubs more money. But yeah, European football is European football. This isn't the UEFA Super Cup where Chelsea's playing some Saudi Arabia team and they're holding a trophy high like they have achieved something or saying like, oh, we have more trophies than you this season. But I mean, again, I said this, like Roma Feyenoord, that match was kind of shit, but still the 2 clubs in that final, like that's a great final in my opinion. And if me personally, I probably would take, under the circumstance that we have a poor window, we finish 10th and we get to the final of Europa Conference League and we play either obviously someone like kind of shit and we win, or we just have a very respectable opponent and it's a really good final, I'd probably take it. So yeah, I would take 10th in a Europa Conference final if our summer window doesn't go as expected.
Yeah. I feel that this season might be the season where we might come down a peg.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I will say.
We got to keep our guard up.
Yeah, I think the last 2 years, I think we've done well in COVID with no fans in there. Don't get me wrong, we've done amazing. And last season, we've done really, really well. But there were so many chances that we could have got in front of other teams. Arsenal were hit and miss. Tottenham were behind us and they ended up finishing 4th. So it's an interesting one. I think the Conference League should be treated like the Conference League, in my opinion. Go out there with mixed up teams and
good opportunity for the youth too. Yeah. I think because we all know that Moyes doesn't like playing the youth at all, but I think this is a golden opportunity to turn that narrative around. If we are if not lying, but if we do have that conception that he doesn't like the youth, I think this is the perfect time for Moyes to, I guess, prove us wrong. Because I mean, I don't want to pull a Tottenham and literally play absolutely no one, but I would like to see, like, let's say 4, maybe 5 of our regular starters, and then you throw 6 youth guys out there.
Yeah, I agree, but it has to be a bit more like. But that goes with the transfers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, with the transfers and everything else. But we will see. I'll get your prediction in a minute for the top 10. I want to talk about Villa. Gerard. He signed 3 players in the space of a week, I think it is. He's signed Kamara.
They need to be investigated for financial fair play.
They signed Coutinho and they've signed someone else. I don't know who the other player is.
Diego Carlos.
From
Sevilla.
Yeah. There you go. Right. They've signed
bags a week.
Now, how can I put this? Is Gerard going to be under severe pressure next year?
Yes.
Because if it don't go the way that Villa board think he's going to go, could he be out the door by February?
Absolutely. Because again, this will be the 3rd time since Villa has been promoted that they are probably going to I can't remember if Diego Carlos was a free transfer or not.
No, he ain't. He's not.
Okay. And who else they signed? Diego Carlos. Oh, Kamara was a free transfer.
Yeah. 175 grand a week.
Unreal. And then they're going to sign Coutinho for almost like 30 million pound or 30 million euro,
Yeah.
something like that. But if they spend 100 million or more pounds, which I think they might do again, this will be the third time since they've been promoted that they've spent over 100 million pounds, and they finished mid-table like every single time. And again, if I was a Villa fan, I'd be absolutely furious if we kept finishing mid-table after dropping 100+ million pounds 3 times. So I do think Gerard's a decent manager. I think he's a bit overrated because obviously he's got a big name. I appreciate him as a player. He's fucking great, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a great manager. I think he's decent though. I do think this could be the time though that they finally sneak into the top half and they could finish like 9th or 10th. But I think Villa will finally, I guess, break that little bogey of splashing a lot of cash, and then they'll finish in a decent place because Gerard is a decent manager. Matty Cash has evolved into a very dangerous right back going forward, and if they keep John McGinn, who is the captain engine of that team, I think they'll be decent. Actually, well, they got Diego Carlos, so their defense has improved a little bit. And Emi Martinez is class. I rate him highly. He's a very good goalkeeper. I think this will be the time they finally break the bogey.
Don't be surprised if West Ham go after Konsa or Courtney Hawes from Villa. Now,
I would take either of them. I think they're both very solid.
Do you know what I mean? So, and the final two, right, is Everton. Everton have had the season that was like
season from hell.
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah,
I think none of us expected that this season at all.
But what it is with Everton is I can't see them spending a lot of money because they're under FFP and they're being investigated, aren't they? So, where do you really see Everton next year with Lampard? Could they be in another dogfight, or could they be like between 12th and?
I won't say a dogfight, but I think they'll do a Brentford.
Yeah.
Where I think people will tout them to struggle really bad and maybe put some money on them to get relegated. I don't think they will, but I think I'll say this. I think they comfortably finish anywhere from 16th to 12th. Because again, Lampard, the jury's still out on him. The jury's still out on him as a manager. And Everton, I mean, shoot, if they've got some good players, in my opinion. And after what I just saw this season, you surely would have to think they've got to get some new blood in. And some of the players are not who they thought they were. Like Dominic Calvert-Lewin was very poor this year. Richarlison was probably their best player. And I hate him, but he's good. He's a good player. Their best player, in my opinion. Anthony Gordon, I would take him at West Ham any day of the week. He's a quality player. He's going to be very good. And then even Decore, I would love Decore at West Ham. I think he's so good. Yeah. But they've got to get they got to get the defense situated because Michael Keane has fell off incredibly. I remember like 5-6 years ago, he was touted to be like the next great English defender. And now look at him.
And then we got linked with him, and I was like, no, please not. Do you know what I mean?
But I think they'll. If I had to give you an accurate placing in the table, I would say 13th.
Right, final two, and then I'm going to get your prediction for the top 10. Wolves. Now, this team chased us down all season, and they collapsed towards the end. Could Wolves be in trouble next year? Because Bruno Lage, he's done well this year. Don't get me wrong. He's done well with the team he's got. They've got some good players at Wolves, yeah? But the way they have collapsed, and they had nice fixtures, I feel that Wolves literally were so bad that they allowed West Ham to get Europe rather than us really earning it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they've got a ton of transfer sagas as well going. Ruben Neves could be leaving for United. I think João Moutinho is staying, but again, he's going to be turning like 35.
Yeah.
They signed Hugh Wang, or we'll just call him Huang. I don't want to mispronounce his name. They signed him. I still think Raul Jimenez will be fine. He's a decent striker who I would take him at West Ham. I think he's very decent. Don't like him because he plays for the Mexican national team, fierce rival, but he's good.
Mm-hmm.
But then they just have a bunch of just decent players, like no one that really like jumps out at you. Like Adama Traore is coming back, and I'm not sure if they're gonna keep him or sell him on off. That's still to be decided. But yeah, well, I think Wolves would be a good shout too to get relegated because again they don't really spend money like that, but their transfer philosophy isn't bad. They just buy a bunch of Portuguese players and they either pan out or they don't.
Yeah, and that is what they do, isn't it? Every single time.
I think they'll definitely fall off next season. I would definitely predict them to finish lower half. I'd probably, you know what? I honestly don't think 17th would be a bad of a shout for them to finish because again, they have the same like kind of fight and discipline that Leeds had. I would say Leeds was like more stubborn just because like the way they play football, they're not going to change that. And it's the same with Wolves. They're not going to change the way they play, but they're a bit smarter because they're more passive and they get stuck in rather than gung-ho.
Well, Wolves are even money to finish in the bottom half of the table.
Easy.
So I'm literally tempted on that. But the final team that we're going to talk about is Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira. He's building something now. It's a good first season. How do you see him next season? Is he going to go? Is it going to be another one season wonder that he's done great for them? Conor Gallagher's there. He's going to be leaving. Obviously, Zaha's there. Elise's there. Eze's there. We've got some good players, Palace.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of like with Eriksson at Brentford. If Conor Gallagher comes back, I could definitely see them improving a place or two in the table. But if they lose him, they've got to replace him with someone of his stature, of his quality. And Palace again, another weird London club that like if they just spent a little bit, they could make that next step in progression. But oh man, it's tough. And again, with Conor Gallagher, we don't know what his price is going to be. Because I've been on record saying I really rate Conor Gallagher, and he's like maybe one of two players I would ever consider swapping Declan Rice for, like on top of cash. Yeah. Like say if Chelsea offered us Conor Gallagher and £60 million for Declan Rice, I personally still wouldn't do it, but I would think about it for sure.
Nah, I'd want a bit more than 60. If you said to me 80 million in Declan Rice, I might agree with you. But yeah,
but Vieira and Palace have done decent in the scouting department, getting Eze, Elise. Elise is going to be very good. Eze, as long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to be a baller too. They need to get striker situated, just like a lot of clubs in the Premier League, because Benteke, he's Benteke. Matea, he's okay. Jordan Ayew, again, just somehow continues to play in the Premier League. Decent player, good utility guy up front, but again, doesn't set the world alight. And Wilfried Zaha, I mean, hot and cold. He's either amazing on his day or absolutely a nightmare to play with.
I agree. I do agree with you.
But the defense, though, I do rate. The defense is solid. The defense will be fine.
Mitchell for them is a decent player. I think it's Tyreek Mitchell.
Yeah.
And they signed a lad from Chelsea who played for Swansea last year. Can't think of his name, but he's a decent player. And I think Palace have done all right this year.
And then they have Joachim Anderson, and then Mark Guehi. He's a decent player.
Yeah. That's the
and Gita, I don't really rate Gita that highly, but he's a decent keeper. Like decent enough for them. They don't really need to like aim higher.
Yeah,
He can get
I
the job
agree.
done.
I agree. Right, I'm going to fire some numbers at you, and I want you to put the teams to the numbers. So, 10th position for next season.
10th position. You know what? Just in case, let me get the table up. All right, 10th. I'm gonna go. That's tough. I'm gonna go West Ham. West Ham 10th.
I'm going to disagree. I think Everton might get 10th next year. I think Everton will sort themselves out. Lampard will get some money. I think they'll finish in definitely the top half. I think 100%. 9th.
9th. I'm gonna go Villa. Villa 9th.
I'm gonna go us. I think this is where the decline happens now. So yeah, I'm gonna say 9th for us. 8th.
8th. We'll go Leicester.
Yeah, we haven't spoke about Leicester, I must admit, but
I think they'll do the proper business when Yuri Tillemans leaves, and I don't think they're going to sell Harvey Barnes or anyone. I think they're going to keep a decent core, and they've always been good in the transfer window. I think they'll do enough, and they have a good little 3-headed monster of strikers to sub in and start. Iheanacho, Daka, and Vardy. Vardy's like in that Antonio situation for me, where like you give me Jamie Vardy for a fresh 30 minutes at the end of the game, running at tired defenders or just absolutely harassing them. Go ahead. He still scored 10 plus goals this season doing that. So I think they're fine in attack, but their squad is a bit worrying because Sionchu fell off. He's in the same situation as Thomas Souček. Brilliant first season, terrible season this season. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I'm gonna go. Oh, actually, no. I'm gonna stick Leicester at 8th.
Right, Leicester at 8th. Now, I'm gonna put Leicester 11th. I think Leicester are massively on the decline, big time. And I think what it is with them is they haven't really replaced Vardy. The amount of goals Vardy scored, they haven't really replaced Vardy. My 8th position, and someone in the chat's not going to like me, but I think Arsenal, mate. I really do. I think Arsenal will play in the Europa.
It's the same as Leicester for me. I think it's going to be hit or miss, and I do think from 7th to about 12th, just like this season, I think it's not going to be by a big margin. It's going to be very close. Like, you know how Brighton, when they beat us, they jumped from 12th to 9th. I think it's going to be like that, where like 1 or 2 matches at the end of the year, you could see yourself jumping from 13th or 12th to 8th. I think it's going to be very tight around that end of the table or the middle of the table.
I agree. So that's my 8th. My 7th position, I'll go first on this one. I think Villa. I don't know why, but I do think Villa. I think Gerard will sign some players and he will restructure that squad. And I think it's either going to be 7th position conference for them, or he gets the sack and they finish in about 13th or 12th or something. It's either going to be one of the two things. I think if Villa start off fast, they can finish 7th. I think if they start slow, they finish in the bottom half easily. Yeah. So I'll go Villa for 7th. Who are you going for 7th?
7th. Oh, man. You know, I'm going to sound crazy saying this, but I'm gonna stick to my method and stick to my word. I'm gonna go United 7th.
Ooh. So you think they're going to do worse than they did this year under Ten Hag?
So I think they're going to look a lot better, but I still think they're going to drop like 1 or 2 points from this season just because it's a whole new team. It's a whole new identity.
Yeah.
Wanknick isn't going to be in the boardroom anymore doing consulting or whatever because he walked today. I can't see them improving, going through a whole new identity, or not. I wouldn't say identity, but like a new manager. You're going to be bringing in quite a good amount of players that haven't played in the Prem before, going up against teams like Brighton, Wolves, Newcastle, Palace, Brentford, that like, and even Everton that like can win dogfights. And I just don't see like a bunch of Dutch players coming from the Dutch league like being ready for that kind of fight. Not yet. You know what I mean? But Ten Hag is a good manager, in my opinion. I just don't think they're gonna improve that much from this season. I know they were poor, but it's a whole new way of playing. They're going to be bringing in new players that haven't played in the Prem, and that, to me, that's like a huge thing for me, is if you've played in the Prem or not, because we all know the Prem's the best league in the world, and some people just don't have that fight in them to play in the Premier League.
I agree, mate. I agree. So you're going Man United. I am going Villa for 7th. 6th.
I'm going to go Newcastle.
I'm going to agree.
6th.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Newcastle will spend shitloads of money, and they will get in there quite quick.
I think they're going to get good. I think they're going to get, I won't say great players, but they're going to get like Wolves type signings, people that really fit the mantra.
Well, basically, they're competing with Arsenal, us for signings, basically. So I just feel with Newcastle, they've got the firepower now with the finances to go out and spend 120 million.
And they still have decent players to retain.
Yeah.
St. Maximum, Callum Wilson will be a decent starter. Great depth piece if he's a backup striker. Again, he'll be decent. He'll definitely score against us no matter what. And then really, there's only a few positions they really got to get like sorted out. They got the midfield's decent. They got a great piece with Bruno. The defense probably needs a bit of work, and they'll probably get Dean Henderson to be their new goalkeeper from United. And I think they'll finish 6th, and they're going to add some good pieces.
5th.
5th. I'm gonna go Arsenal. 5th.
I'm going Man United on this one for 5th. I feel with United, I agree with what you're saying about Ten Hag, and I agree with what people are saying in the chat about Ten Hag. But the Manchester United hierarchy and the fan base will not have another season like this.
Yeah.
I just won't have it. And Ten Hag coming in there to do a plan, and I think they will look at trying to get into the top 4 next year. I think they will come short.
We sort of agree. I don't think they're going to fall off that hard, but you don't think they're going to progress that far. Like I definitely think they're either going to finish a spot better or a spot worse. But I'm going with a spot worse.
Yeah, so I'm going Man United for 5th. You're going Arsenal, mate. I'm quite shocked.
I think I don't know. I think they're gonna hit on a striker. I don't know who it's gonna be, but I think they're gonna hit on a striker. And when you do look at that again, they have a West Ham issue where the first team, the starting 11 is decent, but the depth options are a bit concerning. But I think their starting 11 and the depth they do have, I think that will be enough to push them, because I mean, They got some good talent. Really, all they're missing is a striker, in my opinion. And I think they're kind of in a Man United place for me. Like, I don't think they're gonna do much worse or do better. I don't think they're gonna get Champions League, and I could see them finishing 6th, 7th at worst. But I think they'll do what they have to do, because again, I think with United, same thing as United. I don't think their fans they're gonna stand for another, I guess, shit show than what they're used to. But they're probably tired of the whole like Arteta out, Arteta in, and then new manager comes in, he's out, he's in. I feel like they're also tired of that, and they're gonna try and not do that again.
I feel with Arsenal, before I move on, I feel the Europa League could kill them this year. I think
all depends on that group.
Yeah, last season they didn't have no Europa League. They was in control of the situation. They let it go in the end to Spurs of all teams. This season they're going to have more games. There's more pressure on them to get into the top four. So I think fifth. I just can't see it. I think they're going to go. I think they're going to drop. I think Arteta could even get the sack halfway through the season if he don't perform.
Yep.
But you're gone Arsenal, and I've gone Man United. Fourth.
If they finish 8th, Arteta will be sacked, and Vieira will come in to manage. That is a fact.
100%, mate. Fourth, mate.
Fourth, I'm going to go Chelsea. Chelsea fourth, because we don't know about their financial situation. We don't know about how much they're going to buy, how much they're going to sell, and I do think they'll take just a slight step back, because you'll ask me for third, but I do think Tottenham are going to actually finally spend money, and I think they will make a step forward in the table. So I'm going to go Chelsea fourth.
I am going to say Spurs fourth. The reason why I'm going to say that, I think Chelsea have got the squad to go out and buy X amount of players. Yeah, to build the squad up. They're going to Champions League next year. I think Chelsea have got a big academy. They've got shitloads of youth players. Conor Gallagher's there. Rufus Loftus-Cheek. They've got some players that no one's even seen for ages, but they're still.
They still probably have the best depth in the Premier League.
100%. So for me, when I look at Chelsea, I think Tottenham will finish fourth because of the Champions League. I think Champions League could affect them. Yeah, again, playing like Wednesday, Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Tuesday, Saturday, or Friday night, or whatever it is. So I'm going to say, Spurs for fourth, and then obviously third will be Chelsea. Are you saying Spurs for third then?
Spurs third, yeah. Just because I think they will finally. I think Levy will finally drop the cash bomb for Conte, because as much as I hate Conte, he is a decent manager, and when you have someone of that prestige, he's going to demand money. And if Levy doesn't do that for Conte, that could easily blow up in their face, because he will walk. He's an absolute mercenary renegade who will do anything at the tip of a hat or the drop of a hat if something doesn't go his way. But I think Levy will back Conte, because he kind of knows if he doesn't, he'll walk out if he wants.
I think with Conte, I think if he's given reassurances and the finances that he wants, I think he can go and find some gems. Look what they've done with Kudievski and Bentancur. Got them out of Juventus. They were bench warmers at Juventus. Come to the Premier League. Kudievski's been really a good player for them. Yeah. So you've gone third for Spurs. I've gone third for Chelsea. I think Chelsea's squad is bigger and a bit more stronger than Spurs. And the final top two, first and second.
I'm gonna go. Or were you asking me, or were you gonna say yours?
I'm gonna say mine first.
Okay.
I think Liverpool, if they keep Salah, they sign someone else to replace Mane, I think they could push City. I think Haaland is the name. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a different league when you come to the Premier League. Right? It's faster. It's more rugged. He's gonna get into. Centre halves are going to be all over him and know what they're doing with him. Do you know what I mean?
Craig Dawson is going to pocket him for sure.
100%. Listen, I agree with what you said earlier on, and you're right. He said, now City have got a striker, they're going to even be more threatening. But I think sometimes that's a good thing that they've got a striker now, because I think at least everyone knows who they've got to mark. I think when you're trying to mark Foden, Sterling, Grealish, De Bruyne, they're all rotating, so you don't know who to mark. But I think if you've got Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, you got to mark him. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I think Liverpool will push them again. I think the Champions League defeats really killed them from their fan base, and I think next year they will push them close. Do I think they will win it? I think City will just have enough, as they always do. I think it'll be close like it was this season. But I think one thing I'm going to say before I hand it over to you, I think Diaz for top goal scorer next year is an absolute steal. So, yeah,
Could
Liverpool
be a brilliant
second.
shout.
Liverpool second, Manchester City first for me. What you saying?
I'm going to go... Again, this is all before the transfer window, so we're just guessing. I just think Man City are, again, they're just too strong and they're going to have just enough. The depth they have is just, again, it's literally pound for pound with Chelsea. I am going to give Chelsea the edge in depth, but the fact that Nathan Ake is their fourth choice center half is astounding to me because he is so good in my opinion. And then having Haaland and Julian Alvarez as your two strikers with Foden. If Sterling stays, Mahrez will probably stay. I know Gundogan's going, and they'll replace him with someone good. Rodri's staying, De Bruyne staying, Cancelo, Kyle Walker. It's and then Liverpool, like I said at the beginning, they're getting older, and they've really got to replace. They got to replace Mane, who's really good. I think they're selling Keita or Keita, however you pronounce it. Selling him, so they're gonna have to replace him. Jordan Henderson's getting older. That whole midfield's getting old. So it really depends on what they do in the window. But City are right in their prime with all their players. Just as it's about to begin, or they're in it right now. They don't have a ton of old players. And I think City are going to do it again. It's going to be close, just like this season. But I think it'll be a tad bit more comfortable this season. I think they'll win by like 3 or 4 points this time instead of 1.
Do you think though that the Champions League is going to be vital to whoever finishes top next year? I think if City are in, because I think City will go for the Champions League. I think that's why Haaland's coming. I think they know that they can get a striker in who could possibly get them over the line. So it's an interesting one. I think Liverpool need to spend some dough, though. I do fear for Bowen in this situation. I think if Mane goes, they're looking for a player. Jared Bowen sitting in West Ham. That's the one thing I do fear. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. Obviously, we're going to do a prediction show before the season starts when we start seeing some signings. But for me, I do think Liverpool and City are just miles ahead of everyone else at the minute. I was going to get to this comment from Paul, Paul says here, James Lucas, I know it's an ongoing saga, but what is your views on Lingard? He's allegedly wage demands signing on fee. What do you think of that? 180k a week.
There's been rumors and whatnot that's like what he's asking for, or he's asking for another number and then like bonuses or whatever go to 180 grand a week.
Yeah.
I'll say this much. If he's asking for 180 a week, like no bonuses, just standard pay, that's what he wants. I think that's an absolute spit in our face, and it's an insult, quite frankly, because I just don't understand how you can ask for that after playing 334 minutes in a season. That's all competitions. Or no, 433, sorry. That's just ridiculous to me. But if he asks for, let's just say 150, in my opinion, if we paid Andrei Yarmolenko, and I know that was a whole different era. Moyes didn't sign him, Pellegrini did, and the management was different than it is now.
Right.
If we paid if we were okay with paying Yarmolenko 125, 130, whatever it was over 120.
But this was 4 years ago when Jesse Lingard's going to be 30 in December.
It depends on how long. And it depends on how long the contract is too. Like I would be fine if we offered him a 3-year deal, 150k a week. Me personally, I think that is acceptable. And do I think he's going to do as well as he did when he was with us the first time? No, but he's a threat, and Moyes knows him. He's proven. I think he's worth at most 150 grand a week.
I've got to disagree on that. 150k a week for a bench warmer is not for me. In my opinion, like if you're going to go and spend that sort of money, I'd rather you go out and buy Keane Lewis Potter and just pay the money, get him in. He's got to sell on value. You've got a player there who's going to get better. He's younger. You could go and find other players than Jesse Lingard. Listen, Jesse done great things for us, but he's done nothing with Manchester United over the last year. Like the only thing he has done is scored a goal against us, and that's really it.
I literally said that the other day, and it still hurts.
That's what I'm saying. So even 150k.
What's the most you take on him, like, for a wage?
120. I think 120 is about where I'm at. I think you've got a player there who's guaranteed to play for West Ham week in, week out. You've got a player there who's going to be in the first team.
I wouldn't be upset because I do like the whole wage structure we have going, where like there's not like one person that's making a ton more than everyone else, because I think that's how it should be. Like, especially when, like, yes, Lingard would be one of the better players at our club, but I mean, if he's earning 150 bags a week and Declan Rice is still on, and I know he's rejected contracts for good reason, but Declan Rice is still on 60K a week or 70, 80, whatever it is. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. That's insane.
The problem is with West Ham is we've got this love affair with Jesse Lingard, and we just can't get. It's like an ex-bird that you just can't get over. Do you know what I mean? You keep going back, you keep trying and trying and trying. For me, when I look at Lingard, if Lingard had done some good things at Man United, and he was coming to West Ham this season, I would consider it. But he's done nothing at United, and he's done nothing in a Man United shirt. He's done more for us than he has done for United in recent time. So I just think it's extortionate, mate. I was going to do a video on it. I had the video lined up that I was going to do, and then I just left it. I thought I'm not even going to get into it because it's just pathetic, really. When I look at other players that West Ham need to sign, I think we need to sign a striker before anything.
No.
Of some sort of note. Do you know what I mean? I think 180k a week for a player who is good, but he's not he's not going to be a game changer every week. Like, you could go and sign 3 players for that. Do you know what I mean? Give them 60 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? And like, you could get 3 players, 60 grand a week, and you know what I mean? But it all goes back to the investment, doesn't it? And there is no investment at the club. Do you know what I'm saying? So, what do you think of Gerard, the Moroccan centre half, left-sided?
I haven't really watched any film or anything on him, but he looks decent. He's a ball-playing centre half, from what I know, and it'll be exciting because this will be the first one that Moyes has like bought, like a ball-playing centre half, and he could unlock a lot of things for us.
He looks good, mate, from what I've seen. Left-sided, fast, good in the air, rapid, absolute rapid. If you can keep up with Mbappe, then you've got to be fast, and he did. I see a few clips of him against Mbappe, and he's solid. He's an old school type of centre half.
I'll see him next week when Morocco plays USA in a friendly.
Yeah, he's a good player, mate, and I think it's a good signing. If we get him for £25 million, then I think it's not a bad bit of dough, really, to spend on him. When you was looking at collect a car in the January, and you go and get him, I think Agard's a better player, if I'm being honest. People in the chat, while you're still here, put in the people, players that have been linked with, and me and Lucas will reel them off. I will go for another 20 minutes, and then we'll wrap. This one's just come in.
I'm probably going to have to go in like 5 or 10.
No worries. I will finish off. What do you think of Oxlade-Chamberlain, mate?
Not for me.
Nah.
Too injury prone. But I mean, the price tag, if it was like 10 million, it's not bad, but he's not for me.
For me, I have to agree, mate. I think he's massive. I think he's done. Like, what's he done, really? He ain't done anything, has he? Do you know what I'm saying?
It was an absolute insult when they were trying to sell us to him for like £25 million. Absolute insult. Last window. Last summer window. Absolutely awful. They think we're fucking idiots.
I know it's a week on, Lucas, from the Brighton game, and a lot's happened in a week. But are you surprised West Ham haven't gone out and cemented down at least a couple of signings?
No. because it's us. It's West Ham. As long as these owners are here, it will continue to be that way.
Mm.
But I mean, there's a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about. I mean, a guard could be done already, but we're just waiting to drop the new kit, and he'll be along with the announcement for all we know, media things.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, I'm not surprised.
Mm. So the thing is with me, when I look at it, you got Areola. He needs to be signed up. A guard. If a guard is signed, and tomorrow morning we'll wake up and we see a guard in a West Ham shirt with a video and all that. How would you? What's the next on the list for West Ham? It has to be a striker, surely.
It's tough. It's tough because yes, it is a big priority, but I still think getting a left back and a left winger could be argued just as much because we don't have a left winger. We need to not replace Cresswell, but we need someone better than Cresswell because depending on that will be the kind of striker we get. Like I told you before, I would love to get Ivan Toney, but if Aaron Cresswell is our starting left back, him and Ivan Toney would not really work that well together because Aaron Cresswell can barely get up the pitch. But if we get someone better than Cresswell who can get up and down the pitch with and without the ball, Ivan Toney could have a field day in a side like ours. But for me, I would probably go left wing because I am tired of seeing our midfielders having to play left wing out of position. And I'm tired of seeing Pablo Fornals playing left wing just because his work rate is really good and he has to back up Cresswell. So for me, I would say a quality left back, someone that is far beyond Cresswell.
Mike says there, Constantelios, I think his name is. He ain't coming to West Ham. I think West Ham have said no. They've had a look at him and said no. A guard. The John McGinn one, I cannot make no sense on that.
No way that happens.
Right,
that'd be a James Ward-Prowse situation where they wouldn't sell us unless we paid $50 million for him.
I would rather go and sign Lewis O'Brien, who I watched today at Huddersfield.
I rate John McGinn, but I don't like the price.
£50 million for him is extortionate, mate. I'm sorry, it is. Maxwell Cornet. Well, I think he's a good player, but we need more than just him. That's the only thing I will say. If we just signed him, I don't think that's enough.
No. I do like him though. For £17.5 million, someone that could play left wing back, left wing, and striker. That's a Moyes player if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, 100%.
Same with Dennis. Left winger, striker, right winger, Moyes player all day long.
Yeah, and then you got Basuma in there. Could you see Basuma? Because I think if Villa got Kamara now, so if Villa won't go after Basuma, I can't see them going after Basuma unless they sell John McGinn. And they bring in Basuma. I think Basuma to West Ham is a good shout. We've got a little bit of a French connection going on.
And it all depends on how we want to play going forward. If we're looking for someone to partner Declan Rice, Basuma or Calvin Phillips is my shout. But if we want to move to more central midfielders like a 4-3-3, I seriously would love James Ward-Prowse. But I think the safer option would be to go for Basuma or Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think of Bassi? Now, he had one good game for Rangers. He's ex-Leicester youth player. Right? Someone said to me he's from Forest Gate and all.
Yeah.
What do you think about him? I think West Ham have got to stop looking at these players for one game.
Yeah.
I think he was all right. He was good.
But he was good. He was good in the final. And again, he's a Moyes player. Left back, can play center half. I would take him.
It's a different level, don't it, from Scottish football? And then I know he done well against Frankfurt. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he did, but it's a different level, mate. It's a different level. You're going from Scottish football, which let's be honest.
I'd rather have him than Diop.
True. I
wouldn't want Basie to step in and be like competing to start. But if you ask me, would I rather have him or Diop as my third or fourth choice center half? I would take Basie.
Mm. Oh, Jones saying he's gone to Villa. He's another one who's gone to Villa. Villa are buying everyone up, mate. Villa. I must admit, I'm going to leave it on this comment before we wrap up. This is a player that I do want to see at West Ham. Left-sided,
very much so.
Left back, Scottish. Aaron Hickey. Have you seen much of him, Lucas? Because I have.
Yeah, he's a very good player. He can get up and down the pitch with and without the ball. The only thing really that he has to work on, I wouldn't say he's as bad as Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson doesn't have a bad delivery. He just can't get forward. But Aaron Hickey, his final ball is, I won't say it's something to be desired, but it needs to be worked on and be more consistent. But he gets up and down the pitch with and without the ball very well, and he's a seasoned guy for how young he is. He's played lots of first-team football in decent leagues.
Yeah.
And he's a good defender as well for his age. So
I like him, mate. I like him, mate. This geezer. I really do.
I wouldn't mind throwing 25, 30 million pounds at him, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I look at him, I think to myself, if West Ham can just sign him up, I think he's a massively good player. Do you know what I mean? And what I like about it is he's going to get better. Yep. I think he's going to get better, and he's going to progress. As I think he'll get in the Scottish team before too long, like their full team. Like, I think he's in the under 23s. I think it is at the minute.
You got to follow the trend. You got to follow the trend. The Scottish left backs.
100%, mate. 100%. And we'll leave it at that. Anyway. That has been the Premier League 2022-2023 talkabout, or Q&A, to say the least. I'm looking forward to the league next year, Lucas. Before we wrap up, I really am. I think next year is going to be the best league, mate, or the best season that I've seen in the Premier League. I thought this season was good. But certain teams, like, no disrespect to Burnley, but Burnley were just not that good.
It was their time. It's been their time. It's been their time to get relegated.
I think this season you've got 3 teams coming up who like to play football. Yep. Fulham are a footballing side. Bournemouth are very, very good at home, but shocking away. And Nottingham Forest are the same. They're very good at home and they're shocking away. But Forest do have a massive following, and they will sell out everywhere they go, like everywhere. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I hope that we can have a good season next year also. But we will see. I will probably do a prediction show a week before the season starts. I will have Lucas on. I will have all the betting stuff on to see what people think. For me, there's 2 that I'm going to give you right now. Luis Diaz to be top goal scorer next season. I think that's an absolute good bet. I think if Mane goes, I think he comes in and he plays a lot of games next season. And the second one is Brentford to get relegated. I think they're the ones that I would fear to get relegated for them. I've got a mate who's a Brentford fan, and I look at them and I think Ivan Toney gets injured or gets sold. Where's the goals coming from? Yep. And they had this spell halfway through the season that you said earlier on, Lucas, yeah? And you're right. They had a spell where they just couldn't win a game for love of money. Literally could not win. And if they go through that spell again earlier, then I think it could be curtains for them, but I think they could possibly go down, I must admit. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I will be back during the week for more content. Hopefully, I'm going to get Lucas on to do his player ratings next week.
I will be here.
On Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to that. So check it out on E20 Zone TV. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday or Monday or wherever you are on this planet. West Ham, sign some players. Me and Lucas are asking you, pretty please. Good night.